Here's some independent comic series starting off in the month of July 2025, independent of Marvel DC. Here we go. Starting with Image Comics, we have The Voice Said Unalive coming out on the 23rd, Dread the Hall coming out on the 16th, and this is a one-shot, Ghost Pepper coming out on the 16th, I Tyrant coming out on the 30th, Sisterhood High Street Story coming out on the 2nd. I do want to mention that this is part of the High Street line, so you might want to understand that before picking this up. I think it's an anthology series, but you might want to do research anyway. This Ends Tonight coming out on the 16th. The Unchosen coming out on the 9th. Coming out of Dynamite Entertainment, we have Vampirella Armageddon coming out on the 16th. I do want to mention that Vampirella does have a lot of lore behind her, so you might want to understand that before picking this up. Space Ghost coming out on the 9th. I do want to mention that Space Ghost does have his own franchise, so you might want to understand that before picking this up. And there was a comic series prior to that, so you might want to read that before picking this up. The Powerpuff Girls Supervillain Summer Spectacular coming out on the 9th. And I do want to mention that this is part of the Powerpuff Girl franchise, obviously. And there is a current Powerpuff Girls series out right now, but this might be a one-off story. But you might want to double check this to make sure. Coming out of Titan Comics, we have Rebel Moon Nemesis coming out on the 16th. Now, I do want to mention that this is connected to the Rebel Moon movie series, so you might want to understand that before picking this up. Coming out of Dark Horse Comics, we have Texacranium, I feel like I'm saying that wrong. But anyway, this comes out on the 23rd. Masters of the Universe, Andra, coming out on the 23rd, and this is a one-shot. I do want to mention this is connected to the Netflix series Masters of the Universe, so you might want to watch that before picking this up. I really recommend watching it. It's a really good show. Star Wars Hyperspace Stories, Ties of Terror, coming out on the 30th, and pretty obvious when I say this, but this is connected to the Star Wars franchise. Coming out of Boom Studios, we have Finn's Breakthrough, Game Changer, coming out on the 30th, and I do want to mention this is cover B as I couldn't find cover A, but this is part of a comic franchise called Fence, so you might want to understand that before picking this up. Dune, Edge of a Christ Knife, Hiding Among Harkison's, I feel like I'm saying it wrong, coming out on the 27th, and this is part of the Dune franchise, so you might want to understand that before picking this up. The War, coming out on the 30th. Coming out of IDW Publishing, we have Godzilla, coming out on the 23rd, and this is a newer series. Obviously, you should know who Godzilla by now. I should not say anymore. Godzilla vs. America, Godzilla vs. Boston, coming out on the 30th. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Best of Rennet, coming out on the 30th, and this is a one-shot. And this is a character of the TMNT franchise, so you should know about that before picking this up. Star Trek Red Shirt, coming out on the 16th, and this is part of the Star Trek franchise. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring, coming out on the 9th. And I do want to mention that there was a comic series before this called Beneath the Trees, so you might want to read that before picking this up. Monster High World Scare, coming out on the 30th, and this is part of the Monster High franchise. Coming out of American Mythology, we have Contest of Creatures, coming out on the 30th. And that's all the time I got for this video. Of course, more on the way, but thank you for watching.